Have you ever listened to an album by your favorite artist or band and just kind of said, huh, this thing sucks, or this thing is just not what I expected and I don't really enjoy it that much? Well, this series is dedicated to albums like this, where I, myself, go back and look at albums that I personally didn't like and give a re-listen a couple times to it and see if we can answer the question, has it grown on me?
I can't get these memories out of my mind.
The first album I want to talk about is Muse's sixth studio album. It came out September 28th of 2012, and that is The Second Law. Now, this is actually very different from their first 5 albums. Even The Resistance, even though they took that more art rock, progressive rock sound, they used more symphonic rock in it as well, that was still a pretty decent and well-received album, and the fans seem to have liked it a lot. And then, of course, you have albums like Black Holes and Revelations, Absolution, and, of course, their big breakthrough 2001's Origin of Symmetry. Even their debut album in 1999 was one to behold too, and is very underrated. But something about The Second Law just kind of pissed fans and myself off. And that was the fact that there wasn't a lot of hardcore rock in this album. There's some scattered around, but throughout the entire album, it's just more poppy than everything. Now, the album kicks off with the song Supremacy, which was one of the 5 singles on this album. And I do think it's a pretty solid kickoff. You get that Muse kind of guitar instrumental driven at the beginning, and you get pretty solid vocals from Matt Bellamy. And even the song Madness was one of the few off of this album that I actually remembered after it came out, because I hear rock radio still play this song. I just remember the kind of sampling of George Michael's I Want Your Sex with the electronic Mama Mama Madness, just, you know, kind of keeping my attention, keeping it catchy, and that so-called beat that's just so steady. It's just like, this is actually pretty good. I like this. And then you get the more Muse-like Panic Station that uses the strong Muse bass line that they're more known for. And yeah, it's a cool song. But then you get this, songs like Follow Me, where, you're just kind of left at a Muse-type ballad. And then it kind of ends on a weird note with 2 songs, tracks 12 and 13, which are both titled The Second Law, but we have Unsustainable and The Isolated System. This was actually the first song released from The Second Law, as it had appeared for the trailer. It was never made a single, but it was the first song we heard from it when they announced the album. And these ones sound a little more electronic dance kind of feel. Back when techno was a big thing, they kind of threw that in here, especially with the song Unsustainable and even Isolated System. So you kind of get that hardcore ending, I should say, because you do get instruments like the banging of the drums, solid guitar and bass work to go along, with the techno, aspect of the songs. And I think the one thing that got on my nerves too was it's 53 minutes and 49 seconds long. Now, I know a majority, or pretty much all of Muse's albums are pretty long, to say the least, almost an hour. I don't think there's one that's reached an hour yet, but they're mostly 50 to 58 minutes long, so pretty close to an hour. This one had a lot of songs on there, though, that just didn't feel like they needed to be that long. They added this little prelude in there that just, I don't know what good that did, and the shortest songs on here are Liquid State, track 11, and Panic Station, and they're both 3 minutes and 3 seconds long. So there is definitely a lot of dead space in these songs on this album, and I think that's why I never really took a liking to it from first listen. But, hey, at the same time, I gotta give it to Muse. Sometimes sounding the same can be really just annoying. And I hate going into an album knowing what to expect. Now, Drones, they came back with their more signature sound that we were used to listening to, and I kind of enjoyed that one a lot more than other people did. But, I see now that once again they seem to be changing it back up after going back to their original style, as Simulation Theory seems to have more pop, pop leaning songs, as did this album. And you know what? The critics liked it, but that's not why it's on here. Most of the fans didn't enjoy it, and I was one of those fans that didn't enjoy it. I'm a big Muse fan, just because I remember hearing some of their early work, even up to The Resistance with The Uprising. I was like, this band has some pep in them. They really pump you up. They really get you going. And then I listened to this album, and I'm just kind of like, where did that go? A majority of this album doesn't have it. Like I said, songs like Supremacy toward the end, Panic Station, Animals toward the end, and even Unsustainable have that hard hitting power in them. But the other songs, it's just kind of like meh, is what it is. The song Madness was nominated for Best Rock Song of the Year award at the 2013 Grammys. It didn't obviously win, but it's on the Rolling Stones list of top 50 albums of 2012. So that's just something that this album does have. It sold less copies than the Resistance, which I think not shocking looking at it now, but I think I have the answer to my question of whether this grew on me or not. Now, once again, keep in mind, I didn't really think this album was terrible when it came out. I just kind of was like, it's got its high points, but more low points than high points, and I never thought that on any Muse album beforehand. And the more I've listened to this album, I would say it has grown on me. Not to a point where I think it's their best work. I don't think that at all. But it's one of those ones I think it's underappreciated because of the times. They wanted to experiment with this sort of sound just to see where it would get them. And then when they realized, it didn't really work out that well, they threw it out the door and gave the fans what they wanted on their next album. So, the second Lullaby Muse takes you on an adventure, and I will say, probably mellows you out more than gets you pumped up and excited like their anthem for, like, stadiums and stuff like that would on their first, 3 or 4 albums. But, in the end, there's something to appreciate about this. The creativity of a band saying, we don't have to be heavy all the time, we don't have to be aggressive all the time to make a good song, because to this day, Madness is still one of my favorite Muse songs. I still enjoy that one to death, and that one's not even a heavy song. And I'm not saying Muse has to be heavy to be good. It's just a matter of how well do these songs stick in my head, and the only singles that did were Panic Station and Madness. The other ones I just kind of swept under the window for a little while until going back and listening to this album and go, I remember this song. So yeah, it's grown on me. I will say that. Like I said, I think it's more, I like it now more than love it, but I never hated it. I was just kind of more like I was expecting something and got something else. And I think that's why fans were pissed off about it to begin with as well. But I think they definitely deserve more recognition for this thing than they get. So yeah, that does it for the first episode of Did It Grow on Me? Tell me in the comments below, did this album grow on you if you hated it at first, or did you end up liking it from first listen? Anyway, tell me in the comments below if there's an album that you want me to see if it grew on me. Once again, it's one that I don't necessarily have to hate, but it could be one that a lot of people have hated over the years, and who knows, I might end up hating it too, or just disliking it, not liking it a lot. Just let me know in the comments which one you want to hear next. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Please remember to like and subscribe if you're on Facebook, share, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Started to evolve. so hard to let you go, but some